15 years, blowing the doors off the competition, podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
This is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Repeat, this is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways.
Do not panic. Do not panic. We've got the quirky films for your quarantine blues. Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Captive Audience Theater, brought to you by the good people that bring you Subject Cinema and all of our other wackiness here on our little island of misfit toys. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham. No funny stuff at the beginning, huh?
Well, I figured with the funny stuff is this movie.
The funny stuff is the main character of this movie.
Oy, you are not kidding. We've been doing this series because we kind of figured that all of the craziness and all of the stress and everything going on all over the world with COVID and people being stuck inside, and a lot of people talking about cabin fever and things like that. And people have been taking this time to watch movies they've always meant to watch, see all the things they've never gotten a chance to see before,
including all the crappy films they've heard about all their lives.
Yeah. When you get to the point where you're like, well, I've heard about this and I've heard it's terrible, but how bad could it be?
Oh, believe me, as we always say,
if we have to suffer, you have to suffer. And oh boy.
1957 brought us The Giant Claw.
Yes, it did.
Oh, God, I wish it would take it back.
Yeah, pretty much. The Giant Claw, also known as Mark of the Claw. That's not the...
That was the working title. I don't know if it actually came out with that title or not, though.
That's also not the monster's name. Don't worry. His name's not Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, we already did the room. Sorry. Okay.
The sad thing is this movie is like what would happen if Tommy Wiseau directed a giant monster movie. The Giant Claw falls into that category of films that, started back earlier in the decade with good giant monster films from all over the world.
Yep.
You had the giant ants of Them, and of course...
Them is a freaking awesome film.
Yeah. Great film. You have the five-armed, but still really cool giant octopus of It Came From Beneath the Sea. And of course,
you have Japan's icon,
yes,
Gojira.
You have the king of the monsters himself. And then you have films like this. The Giant Claw tells the story of a man who works. He's an engineer, an aeronautical engineer named Mitch McAfee. Could you possibly get a more alpha male sounding name? Big Nick Large.
Jeff Morrow played him. He was the best thing about the movie, and he always played these alpha male characters back then.
Yep. He's working near the North Pole. When he's doing his whole engineering job, when he spots something in the sky, something dark, something mysterious, something huge, something as big as a battleship. Remember the word battleship, because you are going to hear that word over and over and over and over and over again. It even shows up on the poster. I am not kidding. And he's, freaked out because, oh my gosh, UFO. So he, calls it into his superiors, and the, military actually for once isn't all like, put the bottle down. They send out a bunch of planes to check out what's going on because, it could be aliens, or even worse, it could be commies. So off into the air, Junior Birdmen go. And the thing is, while they're up there, one of the planes doesn't make it back. And the military is pretty pissed off at Mr. McAfee because those planes are pretty expensive. And oh yeah, there was a guy in there too. And their whole thing is, this was a hoax and you wound up getting somebody killed. You're an a-hole, pretty much. And, Mitch is not happy with this assessment of his character because he's for one thing, he wasn't drunk or anything like that or crazy. And we as the audience know something was up. So he heads back to New York along with a mathematician named Sally Caldwell, who he has the hots for. And she has the hots for him, but it's the 50s, so nobody's doing anything about it in the first act. As they're headed back on a plane back to New York, they wind up being attacked, accosted, however you want to word it, by who could guess it, a UFO. As it turns out, it's the same UFO.
Well, we know that, but they don't.
Yeah. Now they're not in a commercial plane, they're in a small plane, and the plane crashes. Their pilot winds up getting killed. They crash in the Adirondack Mountains, where they are taken into the home of a farmer in the area, a man named Pierre Broussard, who is French-Canadian. You can tell because he talks like this through the entire time he is on the screen. It's like having Pepe Le Pew as a co-star. And he
he doesn't boing.
No, he does. He's not like walking like boing, da-doing, 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 like Pepe used to do.
Although another Warner Brothers character will be seen later in this movie, or an unreasonable facsimile.
Or a very unreasonable facsimile. So Pierre brings them back to his home to, warm up and stuff because it's cold. And again, Mr. McAfee's all like, something attacked us, UFO, blah, blah, blah. And the military, now they're like, yeah, right, But the problem is they have to come crawling back on their hands and knees when it turns out that there is something out there, and it's not exactly friendly, and it seems to have a fondness for aircraft. And no, I don't mean that way. I mean it tends to view aircrafts as...
In what way? Explain yourself, woman.
Well,
I've never heard of an aircraft fetish, but that's okay if you want to bring it up. That's your end thing. Go right ahead.
No kink shaming here. Whatever this is, it apparently tends to view airplanes as, the outside of it tends to view an airplane as how you'd view a candy bar. You unwrap the silvery part and eat the yummy stuff inside. The problem is the yummy stuff inside tends to be the pilots. Mm-hmm. So they have to come back to Mr. McAfee and be all kind of like, hi, yeah, about all that stuff about you being crazy. Yeah, we were wrong. You're not. Help us! Turns out the culprit is... Drum roll, please.
Dun, 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 dun. What?
What are you doing?
Theme from Sesame Street.
Not that... Big Bird. Don't insult Big Bird like that.
Okay.
Don't insult. And for everybody out there who's going, what are they talking about? Yes,
it's Beaky freaking Buzzard, giant size.
It's Beaky Buzzard. If we're being totally honest, it's Beaky Buzzard's roided out meth head cousin.
Yeah, that's a good description.
This
Oh my God, I have not laughed that hard in a long time.
These attacks have been caused by an animal, a wild animal, an enormous bird. But
it's a bird, I tell you, a giant bird, as big as a battleship.
Thank you. Anyway,
gotta do something.
You're doing fine over there. So anyway, as it turns out, though, unlike a lot of other films of this time frame, where everything was something's huge, blame the atom, that doesn't happen in this film, which is actually a nice little wrinkle. As it turns out, although I still don't think this would work, and goodness knows I am not a smart science person, I will be the first person to admit
We'd
that.
have to talk to people that run the Hadron Collider to figure this out for sure.
I mean, we should go talk to somebody super smart like Kyle Hill or somebody like that, but I'm sorry. The whole thing of this film is that this giant monster has not only invaded Earth, not only that, it's invaded our galaxy. Because this creature comes from an antimatter galaxy. Everybody all together with me on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dun, dun, dun! Okay. Problem with this.
It would have exploded the second it entered?
That would be the problem. I mean, my science teachers would be so proud of me. I actually remember that. Not only would it, I think, the whole idea that this is an enormous creature from an antimatter galaxy where apparently birds grow to be that big.
I guess.
Whatever. I'm thinking the second it hit our galaxy, which is made of matter, wouldn't everything go boom?
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they do a whole Star Trek episode about that?
Did they?
Yeah. The one with that guy.
Oh, the alternative factor.
Yeah, I never remember the name of that episode.
Yeah.
The one with the guy that's all crazy in
Lazarus.
one dimension. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That episode messed me up. Anyway,
everything in life revolves back to Star Trek.
Certainly does. So now they realize, oh crap, we've got a giant bird out there that's picking off planes and eventually going to get bored with that and probably just start landing on Earth and, pecking people, eating this thing eats people whole, which means if it craps on your car, man, are you gonna have an insurance nightmare. So the army's all up in arms, obviously, and it's the army against the giant claw. Who's going to win?
With Jeff Morrow as Mitch McAfee, Mara Corday as Sally Caldwell, the always reliable Morris Ankrum as Lieutenant General Edward Considine, Lou Merrill as Pierre Brossard, or Brossard.
Brossard.
Wonder if he's related to Madame Brossard.
Probably not.
Lou Merrill as Edgar Barrier as Dr. Carol Neumann. Robert Shane as General Van Buskirk, plus Frank Griffin, Clark Howard, and Morgan Jones. Two people, of course, recognizable here for television work. Mm-hmm. Overall, well, Morris Ankrum's also recognizable in any of these. He's in a lot of these B movies. Usually playing military guys.
Usually playing the military guy who's so done with all of this.
Mara Corday has done tons of television. Mm-hmm. A lot of westerns back in the 50s and 60s, but she also starred in Tarantula.
Yep.
As Steve, and Robert Shane was on Superman.
Yes, and Jeff Morrow.
The George Reeves Superman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff Morrow was the alien Exeter in This Island Earth, which was the film that was mocked by Mike and the Bots in Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, and also wound up in a film that was mocked by Mike, Kevin, and Bill as part of Riff Tracks Live because he appeared in Octoman.
Oh, God, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that. Was he there?
Yeah.
We saw that. It was terrible.
Yeah, awful movie.
The reason we're giving this movie such terrible things, I mean, I feel sorry for Jeff Morrow, who was considered a staple of these kind of movies in Hollywood at the time. I guess he felt like this movie ruined his career. He got up and left the theater early, embarrassed that anyone there might recognize him. He allegedly went home and began drinking.
I don't blame him.
I don't either. This movie...
I don't think I would have made it home. I think I would have just found myself a nearby bar taking a seat and said, I'll take one of everything.
The movie's special effects are absolutely abysmal, particularly in its main character. They thought they were going to get something really cool like the Harryhausen delivered for It Came From Beneath the Sea, and instead the Mexican company that they hired to do it, who did a lot of Mexican films, came up with this marionette type thing, and it was ridiculous looking. It does sort of resemble Beaky Buzzard from the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And it's hysterical. You have to see it. If you've not seen it, you have to see it to believe it. The movie's fine, it's suspenseful and good up to the point Beaky shows up, and then it goes straight to hell in a handbasket because you can't stop laughing about that.
You cannot stop laughing.
About that stupid marionette.
The first time I ever actually saw a scene from this film, which actually was something showing the monster in it, I actually had no idea what the movie was. I saw a film a long time ago called It Came From Hollywood. And there was shots from that in that film, and I was like, good grief, what is this thing? And then as I got older and I found out about other bad films, we finally got to see this, and I was just completely and utterly gobsmacked. I mean, crying out loud. You look at this and you have to ask yourself, was there a communications breakdown about what they wanted the marionette, the monster, to look like?
Well, they were looking to get a stop motion thing going with it. Right,
but budgets. They wanted to, like TC mentioned, they had wanted to use Ray Harryhausen. They would have been better off using, a guy in a suit like they had done in Japan with Rodan.
Yeah.
At least
it would have worked better.
For some scenes in Rodan, it's a guy in a suit. Other scenes, it's, long shots and such. It's wires. But oh boy. I mean, when you look at the monster in this film, this could not frighten the most timid 2-year-old.
I don't know. I was pretty frightened when I first saw it. Because it suddenly shows up and its whole face shows up in the screen at once. And I was shocked that they did it that way. And then I just lost it, and I couldn't keep the straight face the rest of the movie.
It wasn't the look of the monster, it was the suddenness of it. It was kind of like a jump scare.
Yeah. Because once I got a good look at the monster, I was in total hysterics. I've never laughed that hard in a costume like that, or any kind of monster in a movie.
Googly eyes and
the
a bird.
only thing that comes close to being that bad, and it's not that bad, is Zontar.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh.
I remember really? That looking a lot better when I was a kid, but it's the youth, I suppose, when you're
Which
young.
one?
Zontar.
Zontar isn't terrible, but it's nowhere near as good as most of the Hollywood
I remember that looking a lot different.
That was late 60s, and these are all 50s, and they tried to make them at least scary. Yeah. I mean, you can't get scarier than Creature from the Black Lagoon, or a couple of the other ones that really, or even the effects in Tarantula, which used a real spider and made it look fantastic.
Except for the fact that it's playing maracas.
Well,
I don't
but they have to make some sounds as they're growing huge sizes.
Well,
you keep calling that out, and I don't know that that's necessarily right, because they will make some kind of noise.
I suppose, but I don't know if it would be that. But anyway, back to this movie.
Yeah.
And speaking of the sound of the monster, if the actual look of this abomination isn't bad enough, does it roar? Nope. Does it make some kind of piercing, shrieking sound? No, not really. It's just, Caw! It's just so not scary. Oh my gosh, this movie is horribly, hilariously horrible. Yeah. And
this is definitely one of those so bad it's good movies, because it's hilarious to watch.
If you've never seen it, get together with a bunch of, you actually get together and watch it virtually. Don't get together physically, but watch it with
if your buddies. Family is, if you guys are comfortable and you have a big family and you're together, that's one thing. But yeah you could all arrange a time to order at the same time and talk through social media or Skype or something.
Yeah. Because it's worth it. Because this movie is just horrible.
It's wretched. It really is wretched.
I think to categorize this film, because we have to categorize it somewhere, I guess we're gonna toss
complete crap.
Yeah, we're gonna toss this also in the jumping on the bandwagon category, because this is the whole giant thing runs amok film, but it's just wow.
It
runs amok and runs straight into a wall. Oof.
Yeah, it's really bad, and I feel bad for Jeff Morrow, who's one of my favorite actors of that era.
Yeah.
He's great in everything he does. And Mara Corday also, I loved her in Tarantula as well. She really was a top-notch female lead there, opposite John Agar and Leo G. Carroll, and really good stuff there. So, as we've told you before, Captive Audience Theater is because right at this moment, no movies are in theaters, and there's only a few virtual theater movies out there, and not a lot of them we're interested in. So we're kind of doing these bad films as a kind of a consolation for the fact that we missed our masochistic March this year, and just going masochistic crazy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, if you'd like us to keep doing these after Subject Cinema comes back, let us know. We'd love to. It's always going to be fun, and we will have to change the name of it. It won't be Captive. Well, it could be Captive Audience.
Yeah,
not that way.
We're
let us know. We'd love to hear from you about what you're doing during the quarantine. Now that things are starting to open up again, how things are going in your area. Write us at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com.
Yep. And if you would like to find out more about us and all of the other shows that we do, you can check out our website and look at all the other shows that are part of our little family of loonies. And you can come check me out over on Twitter at PlatinumRoselle@Twitter.com.
I'm at eCinema1 on Twitter.com. You can also find us on Facebook at PNR at Popcorn and Roses, and on Instagram as PNR Networks. And you can find us if you search around. We have a Tumblr. We have a Pinterest. We have probably other things coming.
Yep.
You never know. You never know what we're going to do.
So
we could be surprising you anytime, any day of the year. We might just step right out of a bush in front of your house and go, booga, booga, booga.
No, we won't be doing that.
Oh, okay.
We're not doing...
I never get to have any fun.
We're not doing that. Any members of law enforcement that might be listening, that's called CYA, kids. So I think that's going to wrap it up for another episode. We want everybody to be safe. Wash your hands, social distance, do all that good stuff. Wear masks outside for right now. And try and be positive. I know it's hard.
Because I'm positive we're going to get through this. It just takes time.
Yep.
For Captive Audience Theater, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
Or should we do May your roses always be buttered? May your popcorn always be in bloom.
No.
We'll see you next time.
No, we shouldn't do that. What is the matter with you?
You've been listening to Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater with Kim Brown and T.C. Kirkham. Produced by PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts.
"15 years, blowing the doors off the competition, podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com